what I'm about to do. You tell me if you did a show like this, and you received an email like this, what you would do. It says, Art, I know a man who ordered a UFO shot down and later flew with it in a C-130 to the U.S. with 2 grays in body bags. He was a brigadier general in the South African Army. He heard Bob Lazar tell you that the ship he had shot down is now at Area 51. It is the small ship in the back of the hangar with a dent in it. The dent was made by what was used to shoot it down. He would like to tell you the story if you want to hear it. Please let us know. Thanks, Bruce. And then I've got a phone number here. So, needless to say, I called Bruce and then spoke with another man we will call Chris, who says he was a brigadier general in the South African Army and did exactly what you just heard about. So in a moment, I have no idea what's about to ensue. In a moment, that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, then, let's do this, shall we? And by the way, the reason I did not tell the network I was going to have this guest is because the man, I understand, and we'll find out more here in a moment, is in fear of his life. And so with that in mind, I thought it better not to call attention to it ahead of time for those who might want to, I don't know, trace our line or something. Hey there, Bruce.
Yeah.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Art.
I wanted to just confirm, with the audience and with you that you did send the email that I read here a moment ago on the air.
Yes, I did.
You did.
And Art, I really don't have anything to say. I'll just let you talk to the Brigadier. But I do want to thank you and you and George for your service as fellow servicemen. I was in Vietnam, and all of us appreciate what you guys do.
Well, thank you.
Program where we can really get truth out.
Thank you for your service.
Okay.
All right, here comes Chris.
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Welcome to the program. You're going to have to get real close to the telephone and talk real loud for us.
Okay.
If you're able to. That's really good. Okay. Chris, you were a brigadier general in the South African Army. Is that correct?
Yes, I was. I was attached to special ops and special units.
Special ops and special units in the South African Army.
That's right.
All right. I guess you should just begin at the beginning of your story. In what year was this?
It happened in 1982. The event took place in 1982. It happened. Let me go a little bit back because I didn't do the 2 years as required by law, as we had drafting to do, and I only did 3 months of the year because the other time of the year I was normally away at sea, as my profession as a marine engineer took me away from home a lot.
Okay, how does a marine engineer get involved in a UFO story?
I was the officer on duty the night when this incident happened. I mean, I was the base commander on duty the night it happened.
Okay.
It's normally not my task to do things for the Air Force in general, but...
Chris, I don't know how much you can tell us. For example, can you tell us what base you were at?
I was at the Pretoria base, just stationed outside Pretoria.
Okay.
At the Air Force base. I was stationed out there. I was not... You've got to understand that the Air Force base there is very well protected. It's got big walls and stuff around it. It's very hard to get in because they do a lot of secret work there, too.
Okay.
They do a lot of research there for the military. And to understand that, you've got to understand at the time of when this happened somewhere in November in 1982, and what happened is I was called up to the to the tower of the Air Force Base, and I was told that we have an incision coming in.
I'm sorry, that you have a what coming in?
We have had a problem. As you knew, the country has been at war for 25 years, and we had a lot of minks coming over the border into the country, and the sergeant on duty in the tower said that the radar has picked up two bogies coming in.
And they presumed at that point that they were MiGs. What country typically would send aircraft over South Africa?
It would be normally from Mozambique or from Angola.
Okay.
As people don't know, in this country, a lot of people from Cuba was also fighting in Angola, and there was a lot of Russians there too at the time, fighting during the war we had. A lot of people died, and terrorism was very high at the time.
Indeed.
So the next thing happened is I was called up and told that there was a thing, and Air Force is not my duty, actually. I was just the base commander on duty because the other people were away at a function.
So you just happened to sort of have duty or pick it up?
I had to pick it up, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, officer on duty.
I was the officer on duty.
Commander, actually.
And they told me that these two minks are coming in, and we had to virtually take care of this because if we have soldiers on the ground, it could be a threat to the soldiers on the ground on the borders.
Of course.
And the first thing I turned around, I asked the sergeant on duty, I asked the gunnery sergeant, as you would know them in this country as gunnery sergeants, we know them as adjutant. I asked the adjutant, I said, adjutant, what you've got to go out there and investigate? He said, no, we have a problem, the Navy has a problem looking for one of the Russians' submarines is playing games out at sea, and most of the aircraft out there are trying to hunt it down to chase it out of the water space, out of the country's borders.
So in other words, the resources you had were occupied sub-hunting?
About 2,000 miles away, yes.
Uh-huh.
And next thing that what happened is I said to them, well, where is the F-1 Mirages? I don't know if you can explain to your audience what that is. That's a French-built fighter jet. And
I would imagine South Africa purchased them from France?
From France.
Yes, Mirages, yes.
The thing is with that, it's also the only one which is capable of carrying a nuclear weapon. The thing is, they said that all the F-1s are out.
By the way, General?
Yes.
May I ask you a quick question related? You mentioned nuclear weapons.
Yes.
It's long been thought that South Africa possesses nuclear weapons. Is that true?
It is true. We have tested it in the desert a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
And the funny thing about it is we got busted by the Weather Channel.
The Weather Channel?
Yes.
They detected the anomaly that was the test.
Yeah, they detected the anomaly in the test, and it was known through the world that we tested the...
I really like the Weather Channel. I've always liked the Weather Channel. All right, now even more. So they found your test. Well, all right. Here you are thinking that you're being invaded. Your ground troops could be in trouble. This aircraft is the aircraft, two of them, I guess, are identified coming in, and you don't have any resources to, or what do you have? Well,
they turned around and said there is an F-1. As I mentioned, the base does a lot of secret work for the government. It does a lot of testing and stuff in that base. And they turned around and said there is an F-1 Mirage, which they doing an experimental stuff with. And I asked them, well, we just need to see what is out there, so send it out there and see what's going on. Mm-hmm. So the pilot came and he took off, and he came back and he said that we have one bogey here. I said, well, we've seen two on screen, and then we have another radar base which can go out to about 1,500 miles into enemy territory. They confirmed that the other one has broken off and took off to another direction the other way.
Oh, really? Okay.
So I thought at the time, I said, well, we guided the F-1 Mirage towards where it was, by radar. And next thing, he said, this is not an mink. You must remember this is at night. It's pitch dark. And he turns around, and the pilot turns around and says, this is not a mink. This is something else. This is not a... So I turned around and said, is this a civilian aircraft by any chance, who we are mistaking as a mink by any chance? And he said, no, it's not. I said, is it carrying any weapons or anything? And he said, no. And there was a bit of confusion going on.
Or no apparent weapons.
No apparent weapons or anything. And I said, do you think this thing's going to be hostile towards us? And he said, I don't know. And with that, I don't know. I don't want to take chances. So I said to him, well, do you have any weapons? He said, yeah, I have a weapon. And I said, but what do you got? I mean, and then the sergeant turned around and said, he doesn't have any arms to fire anything at him. I said, well, try and scare him out of there. And he said, no, well, I've got a weapon I can use, but it's very close range, and I have to go pretty high and do a dive onto this thing. And he made a dive, and
excuse me, General, what kind of weapon was he referring to?
They were testing, and at that time I didn't know what it was. I didn't know. They just told me it was a laser beam. I didn't know what a laser beam was at that time.
I see.
Only a year later, I found out what it was really about.
But it was an airborne laser on a F-1 Mirage.
Yes.
Which your country had to be nuclear capable.
Well, yes. I don't want to mention a country, but there was another country who was sponsoring this project.
Sounds like us.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, well...
Normally what happens with the South African, I don't know if the world knows, that South Africa is normally, is the third weapons manufacturer in the world. It's the third biggest in the world.
Yeah, it's right up there. No question
right
about
up there.
Yeah. So he dove his plane and used a laser against this. Did he describe the form of this thing? Could he see?
He did. He said this thing is round, man. It's got no wings and stuff like that. And you must remember, we're not speaking English. We're speaking our home language, which is either Dutch or Afrikaans.
Do you recall at what speed he estimated it?
He estimated it around about close to 700 miles an hour.
In level flight?
In level flight.
In level flight, all right. And it was round, so a disc?
And a disc. He said it was a disc. And I turned around and I said, who the hell is experimenting with discs out here?
Uh-huh.
And the people said, nobody. And I said, well, then I turned around, get up there and see what you can do, bring it down. Let's get it out of here. Because if it's hostile towards the forces on the ground,
right.
I don't want it to get too close to the forces because...
So you basically authorized an attack on this craft.
Well, I had no option. I
know I'm not faulting you. I'm just being straight here. You authorized the attack.
That's right.
And then I guess he took the Mirage up and dove on this thing and let it have it with what laser he had on board. And then what?
He hit it. It spun first to the right and then spin to the left. Almost it was hit very hard, and he because he was carrying enormous equipment on it, he couldn't stay long. But by that time, I had another Mirage out there from the north, who was doing a patrol out at Southwest Africa, which is Namibia today, along the Skeleton Coast.
Yes.
Came in and took over from him. For about 20 minutes, this thing just bounced around like a ball. The pilot, couldn't do that.
So it was out of control.
It was out of control. It just bounced around like a ball. And when it eventually it stopped bouncing around. It just slowly went down and hit the ground. And we sent out a helicopter to find out if any survivors. Because I was more concerned about POWs, Russian POWs.
Sure. You've got to remember, everybody, you wouldn't be thinking UFO. Even after that description, you would think that would not be the case, and you'd be, believe me.
I'm thinking aircraft.
Sure.
Like a Russian aircraft or anything. And the problem is, the previous year, they did shoot down some Russian pilots, and it embarrassed the government. quite a lot, actually, because the pressure really came on to it.
So you dispatched a helicopter out to the crash site, which was about how far at this point from you?
It took the helicopter about, it was about 1,200 miles away from me, where I'm standing, where
Gotcha.
I was standing at the time.
Gotcha.
The helicopter came, developed some mechanical problems just about 2 miles away from it, and it had to land. But there was incision groups. We had reccees on board. We had 4 reccees on board, so they can investigate. That's like the Green Parade.
General, do you recall the nature of the mechanical problems, and do you think it was related to what had crashed?
Purely, at the time, I didn't think so. I just thought it was pure, because the helicopters are really run very hard in Africa. They don't sit on the ground. They work very hard.
Gotcha.
And I thought it was one of that. But eventually, it had to be something to do with the crash. And some people complained for months afterwards about when they got too close to this, that they got ill and started vomiting and stuff like that. About 5 hours after the accident, after the incident, they told then we could approach it, but it was glowing like rainbow colors and stuff like that by the time I got there.
It was, say that again, please. It was what?
It was like glowing like a rainbow in different colors, like blues and oranges and greens and stuff like that.
Did that glow extend a long distance from it, or just was the object itself glowing that way?
The object itself was glowing that way.
Gotcha. Estimation of size?
The estimation of size about this is about 12 foot in diameter.
At this point, I assume you're getting reports by radio.
No, I was getting reports, and then I got in touch with the general, which is the commander-in-chief of the forces, and he said, you better get out there and find out what the hell you shot down, because I don't want to have trouble.
Yeah, typical reaction, right?
A typical reaction.
And so you got in a helicopter yourself, or what?
I got into a helicopter, and I have my own team of people who work with me, because my real job was anti-terrorism, to run after the terrorists to put bombs down.
Yes, sir.
And what happened is my team jumped onto to helicopter, and we ran out there, and surprise, surprise, we found around this. But at the time, being ignorant, or I don't know, we're not trained in this kind of stuff.
Of course not.
I didn't know what UFO meant till that time, you know. It didn't exist in my gallery, and all the people around me know what to do with it.
So here's this glowing rainbow-like colors disc, 12 feet roughly in diameter, sitting on the ground, no doubt with some kind of damage, I would assume.
There was eventually the colors went out. They had a damage that had a huge dent about the size of a basketball in the U.S. standard.
That would be the impact of the laser weapon?
It was a laser weapon impact, yes.
Okay, and about how long did it take for this glowing to cease?
The glowing from the shooting down time till then, it took about 5 hours. Even then, when we touched it, it hurt. You know,
it hurt as in what? As in electric shock? As in just pain, or what?
It's like giving you cramps when you touched it.
Like any what?
Like your hand goes numb and getting cramps and pain and all kinds of funny things.
Okay, got it.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a bee sting, but it ain't a bee sting.
Ain't a bee sting. General, hold on. A brigadier general from the South African Army, and we are not done. He shot down a UFO, but we're not done. There were things inside.
This is Coast to Coast AM with Art Bell.
And this is one of those moments. Be assured, this would be one of those moments in radio history where you get to do something a little bit different. A brigadier general from the South African Army who ordered the shoot down of a UFO. In a moment, we continue. right. General, welcome back. Let's pick right up. I mean, here you are out in, I guess it was, what was the lay of the land like where this thing crashed?
It is, right, it's pretty near to the Kruger National Park and the borders.
Oh, this was near Kruger National Park.
Yes.
Okay.
But it's very pretty. In the area where it fell is also a very restricted area because during the war, this was a heavy patrolled area for soldiers to patrol by foot. And many soldiers lost their lives on these patrols against terrorists and insurgents and stuff like that, trying to get into the country to put bombs in the streets. Understood.
All right. So this thing is on the ground, and it's apparently after hours. You waited while the glowing and to touch it, you had heard. So I assume everybody waited until all of this faded, or what happened next?
Well, what happened next was the following: we couldn't touch it. Everybody complained and started getting sick in that. And then it took about there was already a truck there already, a gas truck. We call it petrol. A gas truck there. Mercedes-Benz military truck there already. But this thing was quite heavy. We couldn't. Once it cooled down and everything else, it's like it was going through a cooling process. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, one of the lieutenants turned around and said, "Sir, please take a look. That hatch is open."
That hatch is open?
Yes. He
Oh,
brought my attention to it, and he says, "I don't know if it's. I hope there's no hostile coming out of this thing because we got, all we got is R1s and R4s, which is Gala guns, and a few mortars, and that's it. And we got no way of fighting this thing, at the time, and that's not what I thought. So I called the perimeter off, and I'm very nervous because we are very close to the border."
How many of you were there?
We were approximately, there was, the patrols will normally go out on what we call patrols, border patrols, the people who would do the footwalk. They actually I lift my hat up for those guys because they had a 100-pound backpack to carry, and they had, some of them had to walk around about 600 miles in 30 days, patrol the border.
About how many, General?
They were normally about between 12 and 24.
So somewhere in that range were with you next to this crashed object. One of them says the hatch is opening. Did you get a look at the hatch?
No, I didn't take a look at the hatches this morning. The morning was breaking already, and I had the hatches open. So one of the reccees decided, well, I'm going to take a look. What the heck is this thing? And he opened it up, and I said I ordered him to get away from it. I don't know what it is. And he said, "Gee whiskers, where's this child? How come they have a child in here?"
A child?
Yeah, because the object, the thing inside is like the size of a 10-year-old child, small in body structure.
Yes.
And I said to him, "Get away from there," and he got away eventually. And then he says, "Well, they must have been burnt because they're gray as hell."
Gray.
Yeah, because he thought that there was a fire inside, and they got, the bodies got charred, from the fire.
Yes. Yes, of course. So you had small, apparent 10-year-old, chronologically, beings that were gray in color. Your man thought charred.
Yeah, and he thought they were charred, and I said, well, a few minutes later, I said, well, we got to clean up this mess. I got to go back to the base, and but there was one thing about it. While this thing was glowing, and that the patrol truck, which came up to secure the perimeter around it, was a gas truck. It also cut out and had problems moving anywhere.
Uh-huh.
And then I said, well, we can't lift this thing up by ourselves. We have to call the engineers in with an engineering truck.
Sure.
Which has got a crane and a boom, and that was diesel, and nothing happened to that.
And so a diesel engine was unaffected?
It was unaffected for some reason or another. I don't know why. At the time, it could move, and we had power to lift this thing on the back of the truck.
Did you lift it and begin to move it with the beings still inside?
The beams were inside,
all right.
because I felt that this is not a place for this kind of investigation. And I made a phone call. The general told me that, is there any other pieces of it laying around? And I said, no, the thing is intact. It's just got one hell of a dent in it.
General, may I ask a question? At this time, were you beginning to think that you had perhaps had an extraterrestrial craft on your hands, or were you still thinking that it was a foreign test aircraft?
I thought it was a foreign test aircraft.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's the notion about it.
All right, so you had it then taken back by engineers.
Yeah, the engineers lifted onto another diesel truck, and we started moving it to the Kruger National Park. At that time, what happened to the helicopter, any thing at the time get too close to it just cuts and dies, and you couldn't get it operated again.
Gotcha.
And so we moved it about 800 miles back to Pretoria to the secret base I talked to you about. Now, it's in the middle of the city. That's the big thing about it, and they do a lot of secret work there, actually. And people don't think about it. They don't even know about it. The thing is, we moved it to Pretoria, about 800 miles from the border, to the central of the country. Then it was moved to a base about 400 miles away from Cape Town called Easterplaat.
Yes, sir.
And there it stayed for 3 days. Then I was out in where was I? I was out in Pugalanga, another place looking for a terrorist. I was assigned to look for a terrorist, and I was called back to Pretoria, and the general turned around and said, "You have an assignment." I said, "No, I can't do this assignment. Please, General, get somebody else to do it, because my service time is almost over, and I have to return back to my normal civil duties as an engineer."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "No, you need to do it. You found this thing. You need to take care of it. I don't want anything else more to do with it." So I said, "What do you want me to do with this thing?" And he said, "It's not ours. We got to get it back where it came from." And he said, "The plane is waiting for you at Easterplaat. You have to go there. The plane, the aircraft. We had Herculeses over there. And so,
the Hercules C-130.
Yeah, the C-31 was
So,
already fueled up and ready to go, and the object was already loaded. And he said to me, 'You got to take it to the U.S.'
To the U.S.
To the U.S. I said, "Well," and I'm really mad because my service time is nearly up, and I want to spend time with my family, which I normally don't, because between when I finish my service, I leave the country to do my engineering work as a civil, as a marine engineer.
Yes.
And I was pretty mad, and I was really, really upset because it means I'm not going to see my family for a year. And
nevertheless, you packed this thing up.
And I just got to the base, and I told my group was already ordered by the general staff to be at they were flown there to fly extra security with the plane. But then, before they loaded the disc, but they didn't load the 2 body bags at the time. Two body bags came separately? The 2 body bags came separately at the time. And I asked them to open it up because I was very suspicious, and I had a very bad temper about things closed because of all the bombs and stuff we had dismantled in the past.
Makes sense.
And I said, "You open this damn thing. I don't want to, And there was 2 gray people with very long fingers, and the eyes were, were bigger than horse eyes, you know what I'm saying? And I said, "Close the damn thing. I don't want to see this. I wanted to see there's no explosives anymore." And that's the thing that happened. They put these 2 grays on board, and...
But there was no mistaking what you saw,
General. There's no mistake what I saw, and I turned around and I said to my gunnery sergeant, I said to the adjutant, I said, "Are you playing games with me again?" He had a bad habit of playing games on me. And he said, "No, no, Brigadier, this is the real thing." I said, "Well, what the hell is this?" And he said, I don't know. None of us knew, you know.
But they were claiming that this was going back where it belonged, to America. Can you tell us where in America you were going?
We were told at the time we had American pilots who flew the Herculeses, and we were told that a British pilot would meet us in Seoul, in Cape Verdes, and that pilot will take over from there because the U.S. pilots of U.S. origins have interests of conflict, so they can't make the flight into the U.S.
Uh-huh.
The flight from Cape to Seoul took us to Washington, D.C. Outside Washington, D.C. That's where they do the U.S. Funerals and stuff on that base. I can't remember the name of it offhand right now.
Could it be Andrews Air Force Base?
Andrews Air Force Base, that's correct.
Uh-huh.
We arrived on time. Everything was doing very well. But during our flight, we experienced a lot of mechanical troubles, and a lot of things were going wrong with a brand new C-23, which has not done much hours. 130.
General, I mean, certainly, if not prior to, then by the time you unzipped those body bags and saw those beings, you must have begun to be aware you had an extraterrestrial craft and beings on your hands.
When we were flying and I had the time to sit down and thinking, it hit me closer we got to the U.S. But only when the pressure was off me, I realized what the hell I did. Because when I was at sea on the ship, I have time for myself, and then I sort of figured out what was going on.
And by that you mean the order that you gave to have it shot down. You realized suddenly what you had done.
Okay. And there is one that during the flight woke up.
I beg your pardon? Did you say one woke up?
One woke up during the flight. And one of my men who is always on patrol with me took a butt of the gun and hit it. But he broke his fingers doing that.
Oh my God!
It knocked it out. I don't know if it survived. All I wanted, then I panicked, and then all of us started panicking. You know, here's all these Dutch, Dutch people on board, you know, really panicking. And then we told the pilot, "You put all the floor to the gases, get this thing out of here." And he said, "I will do it." And instead we still arrived on time, but we were really panicking the whole, from Cape Verdes all the way to Washington. It was panicking stricken, because then it sunk in that one guy said to him, I read about, you know, because we don't get all the news like you do in Africa during that time. We had a lot of censoring and stuff going on.
Yes.
And he was a student doctor, and he said, I read about UFOs, and it's not one of these damn things we got in ourselves, you know. And then I said, what the hell is a UFO? It's unexplainable, you know. They try to explain to me what's going on. And
yes,
I don't want to sound like I'm dumb. It's just don't get that kind of thing where I'm from.
No, I'm with you all the way. And actually, your reaction to it, up until the point where you saw the bodies, makes sense. Did this being stay apparently unconscious through the remainder of the trip?
It did. I don't think it survived it. The knock, because he broke his fingers. But he then when we flew to Washington, we landed unceremoniously. We landed very early in the morning. It was a very long flight. One person came dressed on as a colonel on board the Hercules, and started being very aggravating the crew and stuff, giving them orders and stuff like that. And then an American colonel. And I walked up to him and said, I'm a brigadier general. If you don't start giving me respect, I'm going to take this damn thing and dump it in the ocean. And next thing, I had guns pointing at me.
You did?
Yes.
All right. There's so much more to tell, General, but I've got a couple of questions I've got to get in.
Sure.
Number one, why have you decided to talk about this now? I
I saw these television broadcast about the person by the name of Bob Lazar. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Bob Lazar is in Area 51. He made some drawings and stuff, and I saw it on television.
Yes, and he actually saw the craft in the corner of the hangar, the one that you, of course, have just described with a dent in it, right?
Yes, and that's the one we put a dent into and brought it down.
So seeing Bob Lazar talk about it made you decide to talk about it?
Yes, because there is other things too which makes things sense about Area 51 in the past, which I've heard about, is the case which Area 51 denied that the base existed, and people got sick about that with the blisters and stuff on their bodies and stuff.
Yes.
Well, 4 of our people died that way.
My God. General, is it...
There is similarities between the two cases.
Yes, General, is it true that you're in fear of your life for your life now?
Yes, I am.
Why, and from whom?
From the SA government.
The South African government?
Yes.
Why?
You have to remember the government was taken. The people I fought during the war is in power now. So it's for me to explain the easiest way. I'm not going to sleep in the same bed as the enemy, because the enemy is as the one I fought during the war, and they're the ones who are really doing a lot of damage to people like me.
So even though you're in this country, the reach of the South African government could be a deadly one for you if you don't stop moving.
Yes, in such a way. I don't live in houses or anything like that. I don't sleep in one place one night longer than I have.
Oh my God. I suppose one of your life's biggest regrets now is the shoot down of that craft?
I think so, because in many ways, if Bob Lazar, if I wish I could talk to him, I think that what I saw on television is unfair. I have also reasons I have a lot of other secrets I can talk about, but I don't think it would be a wise thing to do. But Bob Lazar, they're saying that Bob Lazar never was in Area 51, and how can it be when he explains the same thing which I know of? It doesn't,
Okay, so in a way you're underlining Bob Lazar's story, and you're saying he had to have been there to have seen that.
That's correct. How else could he have done that? I mean, I don't think about his degrees in university and stuff. I know nothing about that, but I do know about this. That this ended up in Washington D.C. We delivered it, and it was shipped from the Hercules directly onto a jet transport aircraft, which I don't know what it is, a cargo jet aircraft from the U.S., and it took off before we did, and we were told to stay on the ground for 40 minutes, and then we could leave.
All right, General, listen to me. I'm not sure where we'll go from here. I have the numbers, which I will keep private and secret. I appreciate your coming on the air tonight, and I just don't know what to say. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Good night. There you got it. For you to think about, consider, digest, and, I don't know, mull over. How's that? I'm Art Bell.